Welcome to the Gear Garage Live Show. This weekly YouTube show covers whitewater rafting, river safety,
oh God, I lost my paddle,
gear, and anything else Zach feels like rambling on about.
Well, welcome to the Gear Garage Live Show. This is Thanksgiving week. Thank you everybody for watching. This is a show, like the intro said, where I just answer questions that I've received during the week. We're trying something new, actually. There's a vertical version of this for YouTube. The streaming software we have allows us to do this on your phone vertically. I have no idea if it's going to be good or bad that way. If you are seeing it that way, I'd love to get some feedback. Did that work? Did it not work? Should we take it off? Anyway, if you watch on your phone, that's an option. It's going to be a little different. And we have a pretty packed show, so I'm just going to kind of get into it. Here are, let's go back. Let's get ahead of ourselves. Here's the show. First of all, I want to talk about GoRafting.com, our sponsor, talk about some notes, things that we did based on some requests that we had, and then just get to questions. There's a bunch of questions, so we're going to get to that in a second. And first, let's talk about GoRafting.com. They are super nice to sponsor the show, and I'm going to open their website up here and just take a gander at it. The really cool thing they do is they have, first of all, free river descriptions. So if you want to know about a river description, a river you're interested in doing, whether it's a common multi-day or it's an international trip, they have guides, and the guides are free. Like if you just want to go on their website and look at Fork Salmon, it's there. You can get good information. They recommend themselves as an outfitter. Same guys who do the app are associated with Idaho River Journeys. But they also, if you scroll down, it has a mile-by-mile guide. And the nice thing about this guide is it should be pretty accurate. Although I'm seeing a mile 5.28 Velvet Falls, it refers to August 23, and it's changed since then. Let's see if this responds to the update. It doesn't quite look like this. So they haven't quite updated it because it's changing a lot. But the nice thing about a online guide like this, instead of a paper guide, is as things change, they could update it. And so they did update it in 2003. They probably need to do an update now. I'll probably send them a note to do that. And as things change or as they get more information about rapids, they can keep updating this. So it's a free online guide. The awesome thing about this is you can download this guide to your phone. So for a cost, it's free online. But if you get this app called the Far Out app that hikers use, it's a common hiking app. You can get the app and then buy the maps for your phone for really rivers that you like. So the Grand Canyon is $30. This Whitewater Classics bundle for $60 is an insane deal. Like I would recommend that they didn't do it because you get look at all these sections you get. You get all of these together, and this includes the Grand Canyon, Hell's Canyon, Illinois, which I wrote that one. It's pretty good. It could be better. I should improve it, but it's pretty good. It's a map. Maine salmon, a bunch of day trips you probably wouldn't use. Middle Fork of the Salmon, all for $60. And the cool thing about when you're using their did it go over? Oh, it opened up a new page. So I'm on that page. Anyway, when I click best deal, it opened up a new page. You're not all seeing that, but it has a lot of these runs on that maps thing. So it's a sweet app. And the cool thing is when you're in the app, it knows where you're at. It tells you how far to the next camp or the next rapid. So it knows where you're at. It's not just a dot on a map and there's like stuff listed. There's a view of it. I use this in the Grand Canyon. I loved it. There's a view of it that tells you, hey, you want this camp is 3.2 miles there. Oh, you went a little further. It's 3.1 miles. So it tells your distance and it includes photos. And so when we were in the Grand Canyon, there was a certain camp. We were looking for a camp on like night 10 or something. And I looked at the photos of the camp. I'm like, I've never heard of this camp, but the photos look sweet. And it was a sweet camp. So I don't know. I highly recommend this app. I think this is the feature. I've mentioned this many times in past shows. It's been a few months since I've mentioned one of our sponsors, GoRafting.com. But I really think this kind of app is the future. Paper maps are cool. They're nice to have. The same way you can lose your phone, you can lose a paper map. But this is updatable. It's modern. It works. Craig here says, I got the bundle. It's great. Using Hell's Canyon camps. Yeah, dude, that's the sweet thing. A lot of the maps don't have all the campsites. And so these guys have put a lot of time and money into going out and surveying these rivers and coming back and having tons of information. So thanks, Craig, for following that up. Oh, Sean, interesting. You prefer the landscape mode, but can't. Sean, are you on your phone? Let me know. I'd love to know if you're on your phone and it won't let you do landscape. And we can talk later. Anyway, back to GoRafting. They're sweet. Thanks for supporting them. They're our sponsor. I don't have a discount code. They're just go book to them. Their biggest sale of the year, 30% off of everything through December 1st. That's insane. Oh, that includes a bunch of other stuff. Okay. Well, that's a far out discount. But honestly, this bundle, the Whitewater bundle is in. Oh, look, I even have me giving like a testimonial. That's cool. But yeah, they did a sweet job. So that's that. And let's move on to the rest of the show. Get rid of that, add that. Oh, the show notes. So there was a request a couple shows ago, or maybe a couple shows ago and last show, to have more indexable notes. Like I talk about a lot of stuff and people want to go back and search for when I talked about it. And I was kind of poo-pooing the idea. I thought it was kind of like a lot of work for me. But luckily, Courtney, who I work with, was willing to do some research and figure out how to do this. It turns out the software platform we use creates really good transcripts. And Courtney's really smart and good at AI, and we figured out how to do it. So there's two ways I'm going to show you now that you can find index notes. First of all, on Whitewater Guidebook, for those of you that don't know, it's a website that I've done. Every show has a page now. It's like shows up. This is supposed to be the homepage of Whitewater Guidebook. It's supposed to be like a newspaper, like modern news. This is an article I wrote about pin kits just yesterday, 2 days ago. So if you're interested in minimal pin kit contents, it's just an article I wrote, threw it up, there it is. But it's interspersed with these different live shows. And instead of just calling the live show Gear Garage Live Show December 10th, we've actually come up with titles for them that are more accurate to what we talk about. And Courtney's figured out how to put information about what's in each episode here, which will help you search Google for them. Hopefully, I don't know. It should, and links to things. So these posts on Whitewater Guidebook will be way better. But on top of that, I got to find. She's figured out how in the notes for the show, for each show, and we're slowly doing this. We probably won't go back very far and do this, but give me a second to find it. I think she did it for a recent show. Let's look and see if this one. Yeah, so this is super cool. She figured out how to do some really smart stuff with AI. So it's a bit of work for her, but hopefully not too much.
If you're
there's an ad.
You could have rough.
If you go down here, okay. If you go down here to the notes, now it has a thank you to our sponsors, including GoRafting, place to submit a question, but also timestamps for things I talked about. There's no way I was going to sit there and figure this out. I don't have that kind of time. But luckily, Courtney, with the help of AI, now has timestamps. And so hopefully you can search YouTube, because this is in the description, to figure out things I have talked about and look it up. So there was a request for this. I was not into it. Luckily, Courtney was willing to do it. And there we are. So good job. And now we have better show notes, both on the Whitewater Guidebook website and in the descriptions. We'll probably won't go back very far doing this. We'll see how much time Courtney has. But moving forward, we'll hopefully do that. So sweet. So before we get to questions, let's get to some comments. I used it on the Illy and it was great. The app's telling you, GoRafting, people like it. It's sweet. It's really nice to know how far it is to Greenwall, or like how many miles it is to a camp. That's pretty sweet. Not much out there in terms of guides for the Illy. There's not. I wrote a guidebook that's on River Hardware. That's a PDF. That's more comprehensive than the app one. It's because I've written two different. I wrote the one for GoRafting, and I wrote a separate PDF one that you can buy for like $12 on Whitewater Guidebook. But the one I have is just a PDF. It's not. You may not bring on the river. Who knows? You have to laminate it. Liver channel. I have so many questions. Mainly, I would like to know where I can get either oil clips or info about the specifics to make one using a 3D printer. What's an ore clip? I'm not sure what an ore clip is. Yeah, I have a guy who does 3D printing. They can make, who wants to make products, and he makes the blower nozzles for me. He's interested in doing more. We've sold like 1,000 more, like 1,100 of those blower nozzles. It's amazing, crazy. And so anyway, tell me more about what they are. I'll look into it. Corny Rocks, absolutely. Sean saying Far Out guides are awesome. I even learned things about the South Fork American, my home river. Yeah, I mean, there's even day trips on there, and there's cool information. So these are made by river guides, so they spend a lot of time on these rivers. They know all the ins and outs. And not that you don't as a private boater, but as a guide, you're there almost every day, and you just know the river really well. Okay, so let's go on to questions. And again, if you have questions, just throw them in the comments, and let's get going. Hi Zach, I'm a bigger guy, 6'3", 250, barrel shaped in the torso. I'm almost that big, not quite, but I'm close. Who rafts both oars and paddles, but doesn't kayak. Most of my water is in the east, so Ocoee, New, etc. I also find myself on good water out west at least once a year, Grand Canyon, salmon, etc. I have a Stolquist Kahuna 22-pound float, sits low, unobtrusive. I'm not a fan of the bad pockets. Unfortunately, they don't make it anymore. Yeah, the Kahuna was actually a pretty good PFD for big guys. And I'm looking at a new PFD. And the Kahuna and the NRS Big Water Guide are, I would say, kind of comparable. They both have bad pockets. They both have a front zip, and both have more flotation. The Stolquist Kahuna looked cooler and was cooler. The NRS Big Water Guide is definitely nerd alert, but it has flotation, which for us big guys is very important. Anyway, I kind of like the Maximus Centurion, but I'm concerned the float is a little light. Would you run something like that over an Indus or NRS Big Water Guide? So I'm going to go with NRS Big Water Guide here. It's because it's the closest to the one you had, the Kahuna. I like the Centurion. I have one. I think I have one back here. I'm not going to bring it out. Centurion is good. It's a little light on flotation, but it's more than the minimum. So it's better than nothing. The problem with both the Centurion and the Indus is they're designed for kayaking. They're not designed for anything but kayaking. And so they do sit high, which you need to have for kayaking. And yeah, they're not like, they don't sit low like you would want if you're a whitewater raptor only. And so unfortunately, you should try these on. It's not like you can just, based on my information, get one. But it's 6'3", 250 when I'm almost that big. I have used all of them for rafting, and I feel the safest in the NRS Big Water Guide. The pockets suck. A few other things suck about it. Like if you row a lot and you ship your oars like you should, your oar handle can get caught in a weird pocket they put in there for some stupid reason. If you want pockets, then you have to decide between the Maximus Centurion and the Indus. I feel like for tall guys, the Indus just sits too high. I don't think it's a good PFD for tall guys like me. I don't like it that much. It's so bulky in the front, it's hard to get back into rafts. Whereas the Big Water Guide spreads the flotation out more, and it's easier to get back into rafts. So if you want to pull yourself back in a raft, which you may need to do, which is an important skill, the Indus makes it harder. If you're struggling with it, the Indus makes it really hard. Where the Stolquist or the Maximus Centurion, good pockets, so good for so many reasons, but I think it's a little light on the flotation. Let's actually look at the Centurion one more time. Maximus Centurion. I wore one a lot last spring. I wore it safety kayaking a bunch, and I started wearing it rafting, but I kind of lean toward other ones. I think the flotation is like 18 pounds on, let's see, XL, 2XL. Where's the technical features? It's 18 pounds. So I think the Big Water Guide is 23 to 4. The Indus is, I think, 22, if I remember right. It's this big step down in terms of flotation. It is cool, though. It's a good jacket. It has like nice pockets, nice protection. I do like this PFD a lot. So I don't know. If you like to float, I think I would go with the Big Water Guide. If you want to look cool, I don't know. If you want to look cool, this is pretty sweet. And the Indus looks sweet too. This has better pockets than the Indus too. I think this for less flotation. I think this one's easier to get in a raft, and this has much better pockets and storage. And this has the side buckles, which is a big bonus too. You look on the sides, these buckles, you don't have to if you're not super flexible, getting the Indus on is really hard over your head. This has a side bucket, so putting it on as an older person who's not, super flexible, it's kind of nice. So lots of pros and cons. Hopefully that helps. If I had to make the decision for you, big water guide, flotation trumps all. Okay, next. Another question about this. Oh, here's some comments. Let's get to these first. The clips you use of pins and clips. Hey, grape juice. I don't think you can 3D print metal. Hold on. Okay. So grape juice. Give me a second. This is a clip. This is called a clip. This is metal. I don't think you can 3D print metal. If you're talking about this thing, the plastic holder thing, I'm thinking about working with them to make some of those. And I just haven't emailed them yet. Let me know if that's what you want, the plastic thing. If you're talking about clips, though, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I don't know how to 3D print those. Okay, let's see. Here's a comment. Big water guide plus waist belt throwback with some extra pockets for odds and ends, Batman style. Yeah. Big water guide with waist belt. Yeah. So this is an interesting. The big water guides just it's hard to beat. Let's see. And I just want to. If what he's talking about here is why. Let's go to River Hardware. This is a website that I run. I operate. So this is a little bit of a commercial. These are the throw bags that I like. These waist belt throw bags. They have a pocket. So this is the flip line pocket where you can put a flip line and a few odds and ends. It is a little Batman style. It's not total Batman style. It's actually pretty sleek. And so, if you get a waist belt throwback in one of these, you could throw at least a flip line in, maybe a flip line in like a carabiner, maybe a pulley if you really wanted to. Here we go. It says fits large carabiner plus 4-meter knotted webbing, which is okay, or 2 carabiners plus 2 prussics plus 2 small pulleys. So I don't know. That's if you're looking for storage, and the problem with the big water guide is the storage, that is a solution. Okay, let's move on. Oh, one more thing. I still love my Rescue Ops Force 6 26-pound. I mean, talk about nerd alert. Rescue Ops 6P. I've looked at this one a few times. A lot of people like this one. This one is so nerdy looking. It's like, if you can handle the nerd factor, I think this might be a good PFD. I feel like it did have an issue with it, and I think it's a handle on the back. Oh, it buttons down. That's kind of cool. This is not a terrible idea. At 26 pounds of flotation, that's pretty sweet. Decent pockets. It's got the rescue harness. It's designed for whitewater rescue, but this is something to consider for sure. I felt like there was something I really didn't like about it. I guess maybe the thing I don't like is how nerdy it looks, but that's the problem with being vain. Yes, the clip I wasn't aware it's made of metal. Yeah, I mean, you can't make those out of plastic. You just can't. I don't know where to buy them. Yeah, I have a strategic reserve for me, so I don't have to buy any ever. The best place to find these clips is search Facebook, because people are selling these things off and on here and there. Or just search Google for pins and clips used. That's the place to find them. Float like a cork nerd. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good. I mean, 26 pounds of flotation. If you're over 240 pounds, you just can't be running like an 18-pound float. I mean, at 250, I shouldn't have even recommended the 18-pound Stolquist. You need flotation. That's just you just need it. So this is a smart decision, Sean, going with that PFD. I'm sure you float great, but you look nerdy. All right, here we go. Another question. Same topic, it looks like. Thanks for all that you do. You're one of the first sources I check for all things river. I hope that's not a mistake. Thank you. That's nice to hear. My friends and I have been debating high flow PFDs like Astral Indus. We keep going back to the idea of keeper holes that will hold you if you have too much flotation. The idea is that if you have less flotation, you can ball up, sink to the bottom, and either starfish or puff off the bottom to escape the hole. Some say that if you have too much flotation in certain holes, you'll never get the chance to be spit out and you'll be a flush drowning. Okay, before I get to the rest of this, I think I've heard this before. I learned this when I was young, when I was like a, first year guide. I was taught this by a bunch of 23-year-olds who just heard the same thing from other people. I think this has just been passed down, and I think it's bad advice. I think I don't know of an example of somebody having too much flotation, flush drowning from a hole. I've just never heard of that. Like, oh man, that person drowned because their life jacket floated them too much. And it's such a small thing. Like, if you look at fatalities on the American Whitewater database, there's not a whole lot of was stuck in a hole forever, right? There's a lot of just flush drowning, right? Which means they floated downstream, they died, nobody knows what happened, right? I don't think it was just they were stuck in flush drown. This is just me thinking. I think this is people's excuse they use to use low flow PFDs. I think that people like low flow PFDs because they're more comfortable. They will look cooler for sure. They're easier to move around in. And so they use this as their excuse to say that they're safer. But I don't think there's any data or any examples of this being real. This is just kind of like a thing people talk about, that you can escape holes better by going low in a low flow PFD. Yeah. So anyway, here's the rest of his question. Do you know if there have been any scientific tests to back this claim? No, there hasn't been any scientific tests. This is just some dude who came up with this concept and then spread it around, and it became, that's my theory. I don't think anybody has any real facts behind this. And actually, my first year guiding on the Tuolumne, it was a high water year in California. A guide died because he flipped in a hole and grazed grindstone. And then all of his passengers swam in higher flow PFDs. They were fine, but he had a low flow PFD and the guide died. And it's attributed to having a low flow PFD. So let's see. Have you ever thrown your dummy into keeper holes with different PFDs to see how sticky they are? I haven't. That sounds like a lot of. It's really, yeah. I'm not that kind of. That's actually interesting. I should think about that. There's a pretty nasty keeper hole near me that we could do that. It's something I'm not sure if I have the time to do that, but it's an interesting idea. I'll just tell you this. I've seen a lot of people go into holes. A lot. I've been in a lot of holes. Like gone a hole and flipped. Yeah, I've swam in a lot of holes, and I've seen a lot of people swim in holes. You eventually come out. This idea that you're in there forever and that you have to like ball up like a ball and go to the bottom, it's super rare. It's an issue on like low head dams, but I don't think a high float versus low float PFD is going to help you in a low head dam either. I don't think that's the difference. So my take on this is, if you don't want to flush drown, you want flotation. Like, it seems to make sense that the higher your head is, the more you can breathe, the better. And flotation also, like, there's going to be, I guarantee there's going to be some comments about this that's like, well, your body's neutrally buoyant, blah, 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 blah. Flotation equals force up. So when you swim, sometimes you go down deep. Flotation moves you up to the surface faster. It's just fact. It's just fact. So like if you go deep, you go down deep, you want to get up quicker. You don't want to be down underwater a long time in a low float PFD. The bigger of a mass you are, the more force it takes you to go up. It's Newton's second law, right? F equals ma. I think that was the second law. I don't know. Maybe it's his fifth law. I can't remember, but it's a law that Newton came up with. So like you want force and you don't want mass. And if you have more mass, you need more force to accelerate up. The bottom line is you want to accelerate up. You want force pushing you up, and that comes from flotation. Okay, more generally, are there ways to identify keeper holes versus normal holes that will eventually let you go? Yeah, there are. Do I want to do a whole lesson on this? Do I have a whiteboard that's free? Oh, guess what? I have a whiteboard that's free. Pretty simple. So this is like hydrology 101 type stuff. So there's a couple things you want to look for. So if this is you, yay, I'm here swimming. That's a bad person. If you look at a hole, if it's doing this, that's called frowning. That's a bad hole. If you look at it, it has a frown. And so if you're stuck in the hole, gosh, I wish I had a Lego. Let's say you're this alligator. Like, I go down. It's really hard to swim out. Oh, wait, that's smiling. Sorry. That's a smiling hole. My bad. If you look at it, it's smiling. My mistake. That's a smiling hole. Okay. So if you get here, it's easier to move downstream down the sides and get out. Right. So smiling holes are easier to get out of. Like if you get stuck in the middle, the river's going to kind of naturally take you this way. If you look at it this way, it's a frowning hole. If you end up here, you have to swim back up river to get out the side. Right. So smiley holes generally are easy to escape from the sides. Frowny holes are generally harder. And then there's just holes like this. And that's kind of in between. What makes holes, I think, more dangerous than just being smiley or frowny is when they're blocked off. If you have a cliff here and a cliff here, and you go into this hole, you know, you're not getting out either side. You have to go down underwater to get out. This is a keeper hole. If a smiley hole, cliff, well, guess what? Same thing. So what I'm looking for, if I'm thinking about what's a keeper hole, is something that is like this or frowny, and or one or both sides is blocked off, right? If you have a hole like this and there's a cliff on one side, but then this just sort of drifts off, you have a chance to go that way. I'm like, it's kind of sketchy, but there's a way out. If I see something blocked up on both sides, that's way more dangerous, where I have to go down to get out. Yep. It's a frown when upside down. That's my quick lesson on keeper holes. There's more to it, obviously, but that's the basics. Okay. Okay, so here we are. Are there generally ways to identify keeper versus normal? Yeah, smiley or frowny, and then blocked off is probably more important. I think I answered this question. So I just to reiterate this one, I think this idea of lower flotation is safer. Like maybe it's true that having less flotation when you're in a keeper hole is slightly better. Maybe. But then 99.5% of the time, when you're not in the hole and you're swimming, that flotation makes a difference, especially if you're heavier. Like if you're like, I'm 220 pounds. I just need flotation. So like I want flotation so that I can come up faster. All right. Again, this is my opinions. I on everything like you hear on this show could be wrong. If somebody is like, no, I've done the scientific studies. I've seen a friend in a low float PFD escape a keeper hole because he had a low float PFD. And if he had a high float, I saw two guys go in, one in the low float, one in the high float. The low float lived, the high float died. If somebody's seen that, let me know. I just don't think anybody's really done the research. It's more of a made up thing. Okay. Oh man, there goes my excuse for using the Indus Ninja. So comfy and easy. But low, yeah, it's an excuse to have a low float. Honestly, that's how I feel. You can, I mean, I wear a low float sometimes too. If it's like class 3, it's not like I never wear a low float. I'm kayaking all the time. I wear a low float. But if you're, yeah, it's nice to have flotation if you're swimming. That's for sure. Okay, let's move on. Oh, Bedrock Carnage. Okay, I've seen this video already. And so when you guys send me videos to review or even questions, I don't always see them ahead of time. This one did cross. I have watched this one already. So let me see if I can bring this up. Make it big. All right. So this is video. This video is awesome. A Bedrock, just a classic place to do a downstream ferry, and a classic place where people mess it up all the time. So I'm saying right here, that's a downstream ferry. The reason you're angled downstream mainly is to break through laterals. So right now, the person rowing is about 45 degrees to the current. The main reason to have that angle is to break through laterals or to break strong eddy lines. And there are laterals or eddies up here at the top. And so being like that, okay, now that right there would have maybe been the last lateral. Now just get 90 degrees and just pull to shore. So now I would get that stern, point to the shore, and just start pulling to shore. Again, like in Bedrock up here, depending on how and where you enter, I'm going to enter further right. That's just me with this angle. And I'm just going to plow through those laterals at the top. Right there's a lateral. Once you're through that, it's basically green water. You could maybe, I think I even touched this one, right? You can maybe try to downstream ferry that, but they're not even close to that. Okay, they want more of that stern pointed. They're maybe 45 degrees now. You can be 90 and just, again, pulling to the right bank. But what happens is they lose their angle, and now they're pointed straight downstream. Now they're like 15 degrees. And that's not going to get, if you're 15 degrees to the current, that's just not going to get you to the right bank. And so at this point, they're dead in the water. And this flip is ugly. Oh, downstream flip. That is so, I didn't see that coming. Oh, I hope they're not hurt. See that boat right there that's having no problem, 90 degrees to the current, just pulling ashore. Right? Look how high they came. They just, I mean, that just makes it obvious, right? Like, again, I'm just going to go through this one more time. Coming down about 45, which is what you want to break through these laterals. There's a little lateral. Now just turn it and point to the shore and pull. They lose their angle. Now they're more or less pulling straight downstream. You're not going to make them maneuver that way. Flip. And then you can see this next boat is 90 degrees. And just like greased it. That's a difference in the angles. I do want to make one point here. I'll turn the audio back on. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the audio. Yep. So right here. Oh no. I feel like that whistle is just, I guess it doesn't hurt, but like, why? Like, people see a problem, a swimmer, a flip, and they go to their whistle. I don't know where you're learning to do that. Swimmer means, I don't know who out there is there to hear the whistle. Like, who are you whistling to? Whose attention you're trying to get? I feel like people are learning somewhere in classes that accident equals whistle, swimmer equals whistle. A whistle means attention on me so I can convey something, right? As soon as you blow the whistle, I feel like you're slowing down the reaction to the problem, because you, instead of now there are two people downstream possibly hurt, right? And an upstream, a boat going downstream. How do you save them? I don't know. You go get them, get in your boat and go get them. The time you took to blow that whistle took a few seconds from reaction time. And it made the people around you look at you, because that's what you're supposed to do when somebody blows a whistle. And so you slow down the reaction, even if it's like a few seconds. Let's say that was 5 seconds to slow down the reaction. That's 5 seconds. And so I'm just going to say I disagree with the whistle here. Somebody flipped, awesome. Go deal with it. Like, go get to work, right? Go do the thing. Blowing the whistle for just because, I don't get. Now, if there was somebody who could have been helpful and they were within whistle blast and you blew the whistle and they didn't see that. Let's say somebody was like, I don't know, picking their nose down there and they didn't see the flip. Yeah, I can see blowing the whistle. So, hey, there's a flip. Let's go deal with it. But I'm pretty sure all eyes were on, I mean, it's Bedrock. Everybody's watching this. Like, people saw it. You didn't need to blow the whistle and to let people know. They know, right? Now go save them. And whistles, there's a couple reasons you don't want to blow whistles in general. One is it raises the anxiety level. So people who were like already nervous, that whistle just like, oh, it just makes the heartbeat faster, which can lead to bad decision making. And two, the more you blow whistles, the less valuable they are. It's a like limited quantity thing. So if you're blowing whistles every time there's a swimmer, if somebody's about to die and you blow a whistle, people are like, oh yeah, they're blowing the whistle again. Like, you want to save the whistle for when you need it, when you need to get people's attention. That's when you need to, not just like anytime something happens. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I just feel strongly about that one. Okay, cool. Next thing. So that's my, thanks for sharing. That's my commentary. Moving on. Hey, Zach, I want to hear thoughts about South Fork of the Salmon. What flows are good for rafting and recommended boat? Bad idea to have a passenger princess. I've only done it once. That was a long time ago. And that's why I write descriptions on River Hardware not River Hardware, Whitewater Guidebook, because I don't remember the answer to these questions. I did the river once, and I wrote a description. I took some photos. And so everything I know about a lot of rivers is here. And what does it say about flow? Recommended level is 3 to 4 feet at the crossel gauge. That's just the best I can tell you. That's a recommended level. I felt like the level we did it at, I think was in there, was a nice level. Wasn't super high, wasn't low. I think it was in that range. That's where these photos are from. It's from that like nice, it's just a good solid level. Things were just padded, nice, but not super big. The South Fork Salmon, I would not go in there if it's big. I know that people go into the South Fork Salmon at higher water kayaking, and they say it's really hard, which makes sense. And so I wouldn't go too high. Recommend a boat. I mean, if you're a kayaker, kayaks are pretty sweet. If you're a catboater, if you're deciding between a catboat and a catboat's going to be easier. When I did it, I rode a raft. Here's the photos from that trip. I rode a raft because I wanted to make it a little. There's a bunch of cat rafts, and then there's my raft. Kind of because I want to make it a little harder. I want to challenge myself. And there was just a lot of group gear. You see those big white coolers? There's just group gear that catboaters couldn't take. And so I was able to take more group gear so we can have a little bit better food and just more stuff. And so I don't know. I think a raft is fine, but it's definitely harder. A catboat's going to make it easier. And of course, if you're a good kayaker, that's like a no-brainer. Just take a kayak. Bad idea to have a passenger princess. It's just more weight. So it depends how good you are. Are you good? And it really depends on who's your team. Like, do you have downstream safety the whole time? If you flip, if your passenger princess swims, do you have good downstream containment for that? Do you have the right people that can do it? Or do you have people that are tight with boat spacing, always looking back? Do you think they're doing that? Or are they? Right? Or do they know that's their job? It's a bunch of catboaters and they're surfing and they're goofing off and they're on their own mission. That's not good. But if you're a team and they're looking out for you and your passenger princess, because you're probably the weak link if you have a passenger princess, you need them to be team boating. I think that's important. So not a terrible idea if you have the right team. Yeah, sweet. Whoa, this is long. Etiquette with kayaks. I'm a rafter. I like rubber or all shapes, and I think that means of all shapes and designs. I do think kayaks and rafts make for a great combo on the river for safety and fun. I have zero animosity towards kayaks, but I know some folks who like to keep them segregated. I'm curious why. I'm with you. I like rubber. I kayak and I raft. And when I kayak, I make fun of rafters. And when I raft, I make fun of kayakers. Just because it's funny. I don't dislike them. I just think it's funny to make fun of other people in like a joking way, not like a serious way. You know, like I'll call, if I'm kayaking, I'm like, oh, here come all the undercuts. And if I'm rafting, here come all the stoners. Like I'll make some comment like that. You know, kayakers are always late. So I'll make some comment about like, oh, we're waiting for the kayakers again. Things like that. Just add a good fun. It's how I bond with people. I tease. Okay. Anyway, recently I did a trip on a Tilton with 14 kayaks. That's a lot. That's a lot of boats together. And the Tilton, if I remember right, is like class 4, if it's the same section I'm thinking of. I was in an R2 in a mini max and the only raft. Okay. That's a small raft. It's almost like a kayak. Most of the kayakers are older, 40 plus. I got some stink eye for crowding the eddies and even overheard, watch out for the big yellow undercut. Hey, I'll tell you what, if I was kayaking and you were annoying me in an eddy, I might give you some stink eye. And I might say, watch out for the big yellow undercut because it's funny. Not because I don't like you, just because I'm making fun of rafters. The same way when I'm rafting, I make fun of kayakers. And when I'm supping, I try not to make fun of anybody because I'm the embarrassing one out there. Or if I'm like, but I might. I eventually went ahead of the group since I wasn't surfing and I felt a bit uncomfortable. I don't think going ahead of the group was smart because you're solo boating. And you may or may not know about me. I'm like pretty against solo boating. So now your safety's gone. You felt uncomfortable? Yeah, you should. You're solo boating on a challenging river. My questions. Has the mentality changed? Seems like younger kayakers are more open to mixed groups. I don't think it's the mentality changing or older or younger. I think it's just that day, just like the person. Like you might have misunderstood their intentions. They might have just been like trying to josh with you a little bit. but they might have actually not liked you. It doesn't mean all older kayakers are like that. It just means one or two of them that day were weird. What is the etiquette when you're with kayaks? Stay ahead of them and let them play. Run sweep in case someone needs to get in the boat. I would say the biggest etiquette is don't go with 14 kayaks. Like, that's just a lot of kayaks. Like, I don't think 14 kayaks should go with 14 kayaks. Like, they should break up into groups of 5 or 6, 7, maybe 2 groups of 7. That's just too many boats together. You can't keep track of everybody. Well, if somebody's just gone, they just like get pinned under a log. You can't. Nobody's counting 14 kayaks all day long. When there's 7 of us, I know there's 7 of us. But a group of 14 is just too big. So, like, if I'm with 5 kayaks, I'm on a raft. I don't know. It depends on the group. Sometimes the kayakers are weak and I'm providing safety for the kayaks. Sometimes the raft is weak and I'm in a kayak providing safety for the raft. So it's less about the boat and more about the boat's ability to be on the river. It sounds like you just joined a random group of 14 kayaks. Like, you're like, I'm just going to tag along with my raft. I sometimes get annoyed by that when like there's like a bunch of kayakers going and some raft just tags along, only because the raft is slow sometimes. It's like slowed up. We're waiting for them to pump it up. If they waited, like, you ask yourself this question: were you annoying them separately than on the river? Were you like in the way with your trailer or whatever you had to back it down with? Were you just like taking forever? Were they all sitting there waiting for you because rafts take forever to pump up and get ready? You're like tying stuff in, rigging things in. Are you drinking beers? A lot of our tours are just like drinking beers. And I can tell you, as a kayaker of 40, I don't really respect people who are drinking beers on the river. And I see a lot of our tours drinking beers. Are you smoking pot? Are you being a dumbass? Like, it might just be you're being a dumbass. So I think the etiquette isn't like necessarily stay ahead, play sweep. Those roles depend on the boaters, not the boats. But the etiquette would be a good member of the team. Get there early, get your boat in the water. Don't hold the group up. Don't smoke weed. Don't drink beer. Don't be a dumbass. I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying I think that's the etiquette more than where you go inside the pod. Do you agree that an ideal group includes both kayaks and rafts for safety? No, I don't agree with that. I can tell you almost always, not always, the ideal group is just all kayaks. Honestly, it depends on the river, but like rafts, I would say, are more likely to be a problem because people fall out of rafts, people flip rafts, people put holes in rafts. Not to say that people don't swim out of kayaks and people don't destroy kayaks, but in my experience, I'd rather it be 4 kayakers, 5 kayakers than 4 kayakers in a raft. And also the other reason is because kayakers are moving at different speed than a raft. Like a raft, kayakers are going straight. They're paddling forward. There's not really a back paddle in kayak. You can back paddle. You turn upstream and paddle upstream a little bit, but you're basically going downstream. Rafts need to sometimes back paddle, right, to make a move. Like ferry, back ferry. I think they should. I do it. And so when I'm following a raft and a kayak, they could back paddle, and then I'm kind of in trouble. Actually, in Bhutan a couple weeks ago, we had an incident where a kayak was surfing. The kayaks were supposed to be ahead of the rafts. Man, this actually have a great example for you. We had 2 gear boats, 2 paddle boats, and like 4 kayaks. Let's say something like that. And we did gear boats, kayaks, and then paddle boats in the back. It was a big water river, so that's why we chose that boat. Sometimes lower water, I put a gear boat in the back. Anyway, one of the kayakers, and we were entering some pretty big water rapids, ones where you kind of want to be in boat order, but a kayaker chose to surf. And I as a paddle boat, I couldn't eddy out. Like, it was big volume, weren't a lot of eddies. So I'm like, oh, cool. That kayaker chose to surf. They chose to get out of boat order. I passed them. Hey, that was their choice. They knew what they were getting. I think they knew what they were getting into. And then in the middle of a big rapid, they tried to pass me because being behind me sucked for them because they move faster. I was back paddling a little bit, slowing things down. But the exact moment they tried to pass me, I forwarded and ran over them. And so I didn't see them, and they took a gamble to get back in boat order. That's just an example of rafts and kayaks not working well together. And those things are going to happen. And so because those things going to happen, I think I'd rather be with just kayaks. Or if I'm rafting, I like having kayaks around because they're pretty versatile in a rescue. So if it's a bunch of rafts and 2 kayakers join, awesome. But if it's a bunch of kayakers and a raft join, I am like a little wary because of the issues that the raft can pose. I'm not upset. I'm like, sweet, a raft's here. I'll just try to stay away from it. But not all kayakers know to stay away from rafts or like how to deal with rafts. You know, some kayakers hardly ever even are with rafts, so they don't know how to interact. Right. So, but like I'm a guide, so I know how to interact with rafts. I'm fine with it. But I can see how some kayakers would be like annoyed. It kind of depends who invited you. Did somebody I mean, it's a 14-person group. It sounds like a club boating thing, and you just kind of tagged along. Or do you know like one person who's like, yeah, come along, it's fine. And other people are like, oh, there's a raft. Hopefully they're cool. Hopefully they're not smoking weed and drinking beer and being dumbasses. Yeah, sorry, I got sidetracked. Do you agree the ideal group includes both rafts and kayak? Yeah, no. No. I think if you're a rafter, the ideal group includes both kayaks and rafts. But if you're a kayaker, the ideal group includes with kayaks. Although a raft is useful if a kayaker gets super hurt. So if a kayaker like dislocates a shoulder, or I've had this happen a few times, or swims and breaks their boat or loses their boat, that raft is kind of critical. So there are times when the raft is useful for safety. Okay. Anyway, are kayakers just cranky, and should I just run them over? I can tell you what, I'm a cranky kayaker. I just want to go kayaking. Like I don't go kayaking to like sit at Put In Forever and talk about how awesome I am, or to like on the river have like in-depth conversations. We can do that at home, coffee shop. I'm going kayaking to go kayaking. And as soon as people are slowing me down from going kayaking, I'm getting cranky. So if you're a rafter and I just want to go kayaking, and you're like taking forever here, taking forever there, and I'm waiting for you all day, I'm going to be cranky because I want to be done so I can go do something else, like go watch a movie or something. I don't know. Go have a fun conversation at Starbucks. So some kayakers are cranky, not all. I'm a cranky kayaker, that's for sure. If I'm going kayaking with 3 or 4 friends and a raft comes along, I'm going to be dubious, honestly, for a little bit. You know, and if I have something to do at the end of the day and I'm like, oh man, that raft is slowing us down all day, I'm going to be annoyed. Okay. I'm just being honest with how I feel. Should you run them over? No, but sometimes you will. And it's an accident. Don't run them over on purpose. Okay. That was a very long answer to that question, but because I have a lot of complex thoughts. So let me sum all that up. That was me just going on a rant. In terms of etiquette, I would say the etiquette is the raft specific etiquette is understand that going rafting is more work and takes more time to get the raft on the water. So don't hold everybody up. Get there early, get your boat pumped up, get your boat in the water. Rig all your stuff. If you all have your own watershed bags, you got to rig 1 million watershed bags in a raft. Do all that, get it done. So that when the kayakers are ready to go, you're not holding them up. I would say that's etiquette. 2 is just recognize that you go forward and back relative to the speed of the water, where kayakers generally just go forward. So when kayakers are behind you, they're in a little bit of a dangerous position. And like look back once in a while and see how close they are, and be like, hey, maybe pass me. And 3, don't bring a cooler of beer and start drinking it. That's just embarrassing, right? Or if you do, yeah, some of it, like people like me are going to judge you. That's the etiquette I can think of. Okay, here we go. Also, here we go. Lots of comments. Let's see. All right, it was my question. I had no idea there were 14 rafts. Yeah, they waited for me. No beers, no weed, no dumbassery. I got a call from one person. No idea there's 13 more. Yeah, okay. I had no idea there's 13. Yeah, I call. Yeah, so yeah, you show up. Somebody's like, come with us, and all of a sudden there's a big group. They're waiting for you. I would right there. I'm annoyed. I'm instantly like, who is this dumbass? Like, got away. Thanks for not drinking. Thanks for not the weed. Thanks for not being a dumbass. Yeah, cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Then Somebody called you, invited you, you went. Yeah, I would say the only thing here is like don't make them wait for you. As a rafter, I like the idea of a combo trip to help set safety. Yeah, of course. As a rafter, you want kayakers. Yeah, I want safety kayakers too. Like I want safety kayakers when kayaking. As a rafter, safety kayakers are great. As a kayaker, rafters don't help out that much. They're more of a liability, right? Kayaks are more of an asset in general, and rafts are more of a liability in general. I can think of 5 examples of being in a raft saving kayaks. So it's not 100%, but in general, as a rafter, yeah, you want a combo trip. Yeah, I knew one person only. Cool. As also a raft out in front usually obscures the kayaker's view downstream, rafts to the back. Yeah, I mean, depends on the group. I mean, if I'm a kayaker and I know the river, I don't need to see my view downstream. I know where I'm at. I know what I'm doing. If I'm a good kayaker, I'll just, I mean, I don't want the raft out front because that's 2 swimmers. Usually it's an R2 or more. Like if it's 1 person, but if it's like, that's 1 boat, multiple swimmers, right? And so a kayak out front is better for safety. But if I'm behind a raft, like I can usually, if it's obscure my view, I'll just catch an eddy and let it get way ahead, right? Like I'll do my best to like be there for safety, but also like make good decisions. So I can deal. A good kayaker can deal with a raft out front. That's what I meant about safety. They can get in the boat if there's injury or something. Yeah, yep. I like a kayak. Yeah, I mean, a raft can certainly be super useful to kayakers. And as somebody, I both raft and kayak a lot of each. I'm usually a kayaker helping a raft and rarely a raft helping a kayaker. It's way more common for kayaks to help rafts. But yeah. Not sure why you assume rafters are drinking smoking. Yeah, well, because I go boating. I see it. Dude, at least where I live. I mean, I'm just telling you what I see. I mean, I see kayakers not as much as a few years ago. A few years ago, there was a problem where I live. People were drinking wine and beers, chugging beers that put in a little bit. But like, dude, when I go boating here in the winter, like rafts are carrying coolers of beer and they're drinking beer on the way down, on hard runs. So they're not all doing it, but I see it. And it's annoying to me. Like in my brain, when I'm thinking about this, you were in the Tilton, but I'm in the wind a lot. And that sometimes I kayak the wind, sometimes I raft the wind. I do. Sometimes I cap out the wind. I choose it based on who I'm going with. But I see a lot of rafters on the wind, which is like a solid class 4 run, packing beers in a little zip pouches, bringing coolers of beers, and usually not in the big rapids. Usually when it's just like class 2, 3. But sometimes they're drinking beers that put in. They go rafting. They have another beer partway down, beer takeout. Like I'm just telling you what I see. I'm just telling you what I see. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think that's the last question. Let me make sure. Let me take the comment off. Let's go back to here. That is the last question. Wow, what an episode. I feel like I talked a ton. I'm probably going to lose my voice. Probably drank too much coffee before this one started. But thank you all for watching. I just want to go back. Remember that we have better show notes that you can see on Whitewater Guidebook. And don't forget about GoRafting.com. They have great river maps. And finally, for those of you on YouTube, I did there's a vertical version of this that we're testing that you're seeing as an option. If you don't like it, let me know. If you liked it, let me know. I don't know if we're going to keep doing it, but we thought we'd test it out this week. And yeah, that's it for this episode. See you all probably next Tuesday. Have a good Thanksgiving.